during the fight scenes, I was moving fast. And during one of the fight scenes in the nightclub, I grab Nick and I go to throw him. And when I go to throw him,
So welcome to the Spider-Verse. Ever since I saw the first trailer, I just can't stop watching the fight scenes between you and Nick Cage. It started off on one thing, and now it gets intense. Like each new trailer, especially with the new one. I cannot wait for this episode when it comes out next week, man.
yeah, it's going to be really cool, man. I'm really excited. The fight scenes with Nick Cage are cool, man, because that was my first day of shooting.
Oh,
I come in a little bit later in the season, and my first day was at the Universal backlot. You know, they built it in New York City, 1930s. I walk on set. There's 1,000 extras. There's Spider-Noir, and they're like, "Hey, welcome to the show and action." And so that was when the fights. That was our first day. Was that big fight scene? So it was a nice way to break your teeth into the Marvel universe for sure.
We were just talking, man. I hope there continues to be more cool stuff filmed on the lots. Thanks for sharing that. We were just
Yeah,
having
of
that
course.
conversation last week, right, Nick?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We were just recently there, and it was just an exciting experience, especially for FanFest.
Well,
Yeah.
it was exciting for me too, man. I mean, I've been an actor a long time, but to walk on to the Universal backlot, at 9 o'clock at night and look around and you're looking at New York 1930s and there's 1,000 extras and there's the whole crew and there's cranes and there's Spider-Man and I mean, it was a spectacle to me as well. Just being back there and seeing that and being a part of that was incredible.
So, Andrew, how long ago were you guys filming? When did you film that sequence?
We filmed that last year, around October, I believe. Uh, yeah, maybe October, November, somewhere around there. I live in New York, but I lived in LA 20 years. So I basically moved to New York as soon as I got settled in. I had to fly back out to LA to shoot this. So yeah, I would say it was about November of last year, I think.
Appreciate the hard work you guys put into it. And I think Nick wanted to ask you a little bit more about that, right, Nick?
What's it like that you got to work with him, and now you get to be part of the Marvel universe?
I mean, it's pretty awesome. It's surreal. Working with Nick was everything you'd hope it would be to work with Nicolas Cage. I mean,
Mm.
I described him as, centuries ago, he would have been one of those traveling poets that like goes from town to town, like reading songs, telling stories. I mean, he's a true artist through and through. And so is everyone else working on the show. I mean, I think the best part about working on Noir, I think was, they put together a crew of people that were the best in the business. They spared no expense getting the best of everybody. And they really trusted their actors to make art out of this. So we have this giant Marvel thing that's being run by this massive machine called Sony, and we are given this beautiful canvas and all this, all these wonderful pieces of paint to make this art, and we were able to. And so it's a really great show, man. And I think the best thing about it is the integrity of the show. Like it really does. It's a great show. It's put together very well. It's aesthetically beautiful, and the acting, the cinematic, the everything about it is just it's stunning.
It looks really awesome. I mean, from the trailers to some of the, again, set photos and stuff we've seen. But I mean, we've heard praises for you guys as a cast, but we've heard a lot of great things about Lord and Miller just steering the ship. What was it like to work with those guys?
Well, like I said, they put together the most amazing crew I've ever seen. And when I asked about it, I said, like, man, how'd you guys? I mean, I know this is a great property, but how did you manage to pull this off? And they said that they were lucky because it was kind of coming right off of the strike, and everybody wanted to work. And
That's right.
because they had probably the best project going, they were able to get everybody they wanted. And so you're walking around on set, and I mean, everybody from your camera department to your craft service is the best in the biz. So it was really awesome. And
That's
being a part of
amazing.
the Marvel universe is great. I mean, it's a dream, I think, for every actor to find themselves in this world somewhere. Because I think once you're in there, you can always kind of be shaken around and put back somewhere else. So I think everybody, gets excited about that, myself included. But yeah, being a part of this is a huge honor and a great responsibility. And I couldn't be happier.
That's amazing. When they talk to you, whether it was Lord Miller, whether it was like your directors for each episode or showrunners, did they talk to you guys about where this falls into the multiverse or like where it falls into the MCU?
Um, Not really. There wasn't a lot of that. I mean, at least not with me. I know I talked to Lamore, and I know that there's some things that they've talked about and some stuff, but they really focused on the project at hand, which I think is important. I think a
Yes.
lot of times movies like this, where you're in a universe, they spend so much time building the universe that they don't take care of the world that you're in right now. It's like it's bigger, but the one that we're in right now isn't as polished as I think it could be. And I think they put a lot of their focus on the task at hand, which was making this show here. And knowing that it expands and knowing that it can, but focusing on the stories being told, I think was their main priority.
So, what can you tell us about your character, Dirk, as a character trying to get his moment at all costs, especially if he's the problem, just like you said on IG?
Yeah, yeah. Um, what's cool about playing Dirk is it's not a character a lot of people are familiar with. When they first started releasing photos, everybody thought I was Electro. And I was getting a lot of comments like, "Oh no, Fat Electro." I was like, "No, no, no, we're not Fat Electro. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. So I
But I couldn't.
apologize about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it was one of you guys. But I couldn't. But obviously, I couldn't say anything, and so I sort of just had to be called Fat Electro for a couple of weeks. But the fun part about Megawatt is he's there's not a lot of information out there on Megawatt, and I'm the first person to play him. And so it was really exciting to be able to take a character from the comic books that had enough room for me to create my own character around him and not have the expectations of having to live up to, a character that people are so familiar with. So I do have the luxury of sort of taking a character that I was able to base Dirk off of without having to really be married to something that most people are used to by seeing that character because people aren't really used to seeing him. So I got to really create this guy and it was really exciting to do that.
We're working behind sets. I'm pretty sure you had to wear some glowing gauntlets when it comes to the electric powers. Can you share anything about that when it comes to
Sure. So I had to sit through 4 hours of prosthetics makeup every day. And I had to sit like this, arms out, because they had, all down my arms, all down my face, my chest. So the prosthetics were crazy. And what was cool is I had flesh-colored prosthetics for when I'm just walking around. And then they would switch them for fights to turn them to green, so that they could insert the electricity coming through. So I would
Mm.
sit through 4 hours of the skin colored prosthetics. They would take them all off, and then I'd sit through 4 more hours of the green ones for like green screen, basically.
So when you work with the green screen aspect, I mean, was a different approach than like the other prosthetics you spoke to about that just looked more
No,
like skin?
no, they feel the same. So you kind of when you're in them, they feel the same. And so no, I didn't change my approach to it at all. I always kind of played him as if there was always some sort of electrical current going through him.
Mm.
So, and I think that worked to my advantage because when I saw the show, they did use that from time to time where you would see something kind of, scroll across through the veins. So it didn't really change my approach when I was in the green or when I was in the skin tone. Because in my mind, I was always kind of envisioning the current running through them.
Were you looking at the comics? Were you
I
reading other?
researched I researched the year, the era a lot. And what
Oh,
would be what would this guy be interested in based on this era and what is it that I'm looking for in this era? Because like I said, there wasn't a lot on him in the comics really. So I was able to take what I had from the comics and then the time that this takes place and that's what I used to build the character out for the most part.
were you thinking of any of some of these iconic actors who played gangsters over the last like 100 years of cinema, like a Cagney or anybody like that?
Yeah, no, I see. I didn't really pull from much because this Dirk is an actor. And so I wanted to have a resentment towards other actors that had made it. So I had this
Hmm.
journal that I kept where I would take pictures of actors from that era and I would, cross their faces out and I would like set it on fire and like make it look like I electrocuted it. And so I built a lot of like internal resentment for Dirk about people that are more successful than him. Yeah.
And I mean, as far as working with the studio in the capacity that you did, you said you guys picked up right after the strikes. What was it like to see filming not only there on the lot, but just filming back in LA?
It was great, man. It was super good to be filming in LA. LA is my home. That'll always be home to me. And so it was good to be home and shooting this thing and almost kind of serendipitous too to be, to have I left LA, I came to New York, and then basically to come right back home about a year later and shoot this huge project that's probably the biggest thing I've ever been a part of in my hometown was awesome. The sheer size of this production was so unbelievable and impressive that like every day was like I can't believe that we're here. It's this is what the top is like.
What is your thought, when it comes to him? You're working with a Marvel legend.
Yeah. Amazing. And it's, like I said, Nick was such a approachable person. And I think the reason for that is we were all taking this job, this project seriously in the same way. We were all just actors trying to do our best on this great project, Nick and Brendan included. I mean, there the importance of this show and the need for it to be good was not lost on anybody. And so the excitement of being around Nicolas Cage obviously never wore off, but it did get to a point where we were just peers making a project that we were all really passionate about.
Yeah, and since this is gonna be your first time being part of of the Marvel project, did he give you like advice when it comes to his experience?
Um, I don't know if we necessarily would say advice, but there was a lot of storytelling between all of us. We would all kind of sit around and share stories and talk about different eras of Hollywood and different projects. Nick has no problem talking about other things he's been in, and so I was asking him questions about Face Off and you name it.
Hey,
So, yeah, it was. I learned a lot. I mean, I learned a lot just by being around him and Brendan Gleeson and even Lamorne and Jack and Abe. I mean, we all kind of learned from each other. There was a day where we were shooting this 24-page scene, and it took us about 3 days to do it. And that was the day I think where it really hit me like how much camaraderie we actually have on this set because it was such a massive undertaking. And Nick Cage, Brendan Gleeson, myself, Jack, Abe. I mean, we were all grinding through this 24-page scene and so supportive of each other.
You mentioned Nick, you mentioned Brendan. I mean, regardless of them being leading men, I feel like those guys are still character actors in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
What was it like to, work with actors that are just that? They can transform into different characters where most people want to be stars.
right.
What was it like to work with just guys who, hey, you know what, this is my role, this is what I'm transforming into? What was it like to work with those type of actors, including yourself and your peers?
Yeah, well, that's what I think made this project so good. I mean, I think they hired actors that they knew could make this art. There's an analytical way to be an actor and there's an artistic way to be an actor. And I think everybody on this project was an artist. There was very little analytical acting going on. It was a lot of impulse, a lot of in the moment, a lot of, feel it as it is. And so it was great. It was great to be surrounded by all different levels of actors that approach the craft the same way. You didn't not there wasn't anybody there who had a movie star quality to them personally. We were all just there trying to figure out how to make the best thing, the most artistic thing, support each other. It was the camaraderie was amazing.
What was it like for you to try to imagine maybe some things in set, including your own powers when it came to, the effects being added in post?
Right. Um, it's weird that they did a lot of things practical, man. There wasn't a lot of it never felt like we were in a green screen room. We weren't. So the effects were. we knew what they were going to be, but they didn't seem so far off from what we were already doing. So there wasn't there. I don't feel like there was ever a moment where I'm like, wow, I have no idea what this is going to look like. Like everything
Yeah.
was pretty practical and built and done. I mean, other than maybe shooting out the electricity thing, which was a lot of fun because they didn't really know how I was going to do that. When I got there, they're like, "How do you want to use your powers?" I was like, What do you mean?" They're like, "How do you want to use them? How do they work?" And I was like, "Well, what about one of these and this and and so we kind
Yeah.
of came up with it on the spot. But luckily for us, everything was there, so there wasn't a lot of having to imagine what it was going to look like.
But now it all takes just brute and muscle just to take down Megawatt. Did you have to watch the previous one to see how it felt for you when you had to film against Nick Cage?
No, I did. I mean, I've seen the other ones, but I didn't watch it as any sort of research. Like I said, I wanted to create something that felt different than anything anyone's seen in the Marvel world before. I didn't want, I had the luxury of playing a guy who wants to be an actor. And so like I could relate to that, and I can understand what it's like to want to be seen and have that gravitas. And so I tried to make this person feel original. I think because I had the luxury of playing a villain that not a lot of people are familiar with, I was able to create something that didn't take away from what little they do know about it, but I really wanted this guy to feel fresh and different and more dangerous. I think the level of concern that you should have for what Dirk's up to is big, and I wanted that to sort of be heavy the whole way through. So a lot of the work I did on this was definitely isolated. I did a lot of work and didn't share much of it.
You talk about your character being isolated, and as far as you figuring out his characterization as opposed to going back and looking at past projects. Um, I'm sure, for you to see some of these other characters unfold, your peers' characters, right? Whether they were the good guys or the bad guys in the show. Who's your favorite like hero, and who's your favorite villain of the show?
Ooh, um, I'm gonna say, I mean, obviously Megawatt's the best.
All right, all right.
There you go.
And I think when it comes to villains, I don't think they get much more villainous than Megawatt. Um,
Awesome.
there's almost no redeeming qualities to this guy. He's just a selfish, bad, intended guy. Um, I don't know, man. Watching Nick play Spider-Noir was pretty cool. Watching him play Ben Riley was pretty awesome, and I think a lot of people are going to have a new favorite Spider-Man after this. That's for sure.
Sounds like he's your favorite Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite Spider-Man.
Even especially with Tom, Andrew, and Toby.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. I mean, I cannot wait, to hear that. And speaking of villains, not only this is going to be Megawatt's, first debut, but Brendan Gleeson, his character Silvermane, is one of Spider-Man's villains from the past, and now this is going to be his first time making his live-action debut. What can you share about Brendan as Silvermane?
He was born for Silvermane. He was born for it. I mean, I can't imagine there have been anyone else playing that role. Brendan has this confidence, this cool, calm energy that you can't teach, and you can't, that's that he's so in control, and he's a leader. You watch Brendan Gleeson, and he's a leader, and so you put that guy in the role of Silvermane, where you're a leader in power, and I mean, the transition for Brendan was nothing. It was effortless for him. There's such a cool energy to Silvermane and a dangerous feeling you have when he's around, but he's likable and terrifying all at the same time. So Silvermane, I think, is probably my second favorite after Megawatt.
Oh, yeah, and Silvermane in the comics, this is a guy who did not want to give up, his position as a gangster, a leader, and he didn't want to give up on his life, immortality, and he even sacrificed his whole body to become a cyborg. And this is going to be, I know it's totally different, and when it comes to different Marvel multiverses, it's always going to be technology, but we won't see it until the show comes out. But
I'm not going to be the one to tell you.
No, you won't. But yeah, and the three guys you're with, Jack and Abraham, they are like hired hitmen, but they are labeled as monsters.
Right.
Monsters! Watch out for monsters! Especially from an early role in the 1930s. How'd you feel about that to see your character to be labeled as a monster in the 1930s?
Well, I think from the perspective of my character, any publicity is good publicity. Uh, so I don't think the label of monster had much of a negative impact on old Dirk. I think as long as Dirk gets the attention he's looking for, you can call him whatever you want.
Did you put on
Yeah.
an authentic
So
accent?
You
yeah,
sounded like you're from Staten Island or from
yeah.
Queens.
So what was funny is I developed the voice from the audition. And when I did the audition, I had my callback with Oren. We were on there for probably 2 hours, 3 hours, just trying out different things. And so I left my character uh, or I left I the way I developed the voice and so when I would put the contact lens in basically, so I would do the prosthetics and they would put the contact lens in, and as soon as the lens hit, the voice started, and the voice never really would go away. By the time we were wrapped and I was doing EPK, which is like the behind the scenes stuff, there were people that didn't know what my real voice sounded like because I sort of stayed in the voice the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, like the first time I met Lamorne, he must have thought I was a freak because the first time I talked to him, I was like, "Hey, I met you at an audition a couple years ago, and you was great." He's like, "I don't know this guy."
I mean, I recognize, you growing up in Hannah Montana. My sisters, would watch the shows, but also Daniel, you may actually recognize him in Transformers. When the Autobots arrived, he was the one where he
This
was
is a thousand times cooler than Armageddon.
yeah, and also no hard feelings, but I got your space rock.
Hey, there it is.
I
That's awesome.
can't believe this movie is going to be 20 years. And what I love about that is that there are some actors that were part of Disney put together. There was you, the guy with the moped, and Sam Witwicky, from Phil the Future, and even Steven, Hannah Montana together. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, what do you think about after 20 years? It's one of the best movies, and it's still growing today.
Being a part of Transformers was surreal, man. That was my first job, really. I mean, I'd had a couple little acting jobs here and there, but that was where I learned what the machine looks like. Like when you work on independent films or smaller movies, you build a little machine that keeps it running. But when you're working for something so massive like Transformers or Spider-Noir, you're seeing what the Hollywood movie making machine can really do. And I remember walking on the set of Transformers and seeing 100 yellow Camaros just lined up and being like,
Oh,
wow, like that's pretty crazy. So yeah, being in Transformers was cool too. And what's fun about that is it was such a small part, but it's everybody remembers that scene. Like everybody remembers that part in that movie. So it was really cool. And Michael Bay let me improvise a lot of that. So a lot of that was just improvised and shot in what I think 2 days. And it's great. It's one of the things I'm really proud of still.
well, I made sure to have some space insurance here at home. Just
Yeah. This dude is so boned.
Well, you work with some of the greats, and I just think one of our last questions simply is, what was it like to fight Nick Cage as Spider-Noir? What was it like to fight?
It was
Great,
awesome.
man.
It'd be a good question for him because like I said, I was so engulfed in this character that during the fight scenes, I was moving fast. And during one of the fight scenes in the nightclub, I grabbed Nick and I go to throw him. And when I go to throw him, I punched him in his face. And when we got done with the take, he goes, "You're doing a really good job, but try not to hit me in my face." I was like, "Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. You got it." But yeah, I mean, we were full speed. I mean, if you watch the fight scenes, we didn't do that at half speed like you're supposed to. We went all out.
I'm sure it's an actor's dream just to be there, whether it was fight scenes, whether it was doing dialogue.
100%, man. It was a dream come true, and it was I don't know how you top that, but it definitely was like that one of the high point of my career for sure.
As far as the message to the fans, folks are, that discourse of, like you said, Fat Electro and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
There's a lot of positivity we're seeing swirling around your character. what's your message to the fans of not just the MCU but Marvel projects in general, and really fans of your work?
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that there's some positivity around the character. That's good to hear. I want people to go into this and be ready for a new part of the universe to open up. The characters, the villains, the storylines, the environment. It's so much thought went into it for the fans, so much, and I hope that everything that we worked tirelessly to execute is was worth it. I hope they all enjoy what we got, and I hope that people love the show, and I hope that people aren't mean to me on the internet.
Hey, don't worry about that, man.
That's terrible.
It's about to go down.
Yeah, let's go.
That's awesome. And again, looking from that perspective of wow, I'm in the MCU now. I'm sure you have your favorite Marvel characters, whether it's MCU comic wise. Who's your favorite Marvel superhero, villain, any of that?
Megawatt.
Yeah, there we go.
Megawatt, megawatt, megawatt. I'm trying to get a Funko Pop, dude. We got to make Megawatt huge.
Or let's get him a Marvel Legend.
Yeah, let's
Get
do
you a
that.
Marvel Legend.
Let's do that.
Make
Figure
a
it out.
megawatt.
We'll
We're
make
gonna
sure
have to figure it out.
We were gonna actually go out to the premiere with you guys in New York, but we couldn't make it out. It just happened too last minute. But I hope if you guys are nominated as a cast, as a show, you guys get to do the FYC stuff out here in LA, and I hope we get to see you, man.
Absolutely, I'd love to, man. That'd be awesome.
You guys deserve all the applause, and as far as I understand, they're already doing some for your consideration stuff. So, I mean, when it's happening even before the show comes out, it's always a good sign.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. It really is. I'm excited.
That's cool. Yeah, we're definitely gonna let the fans know, your message to them and everything else in between. But beyond that, what do you hope for the future of your character? I know you can't say too much, but
Yeah, I mean, I hope that this character exists. Like, I hope that there's another guy a couple of years from now that plays Megawatt, and they're like, "Ew, a skinny Megawatt." And they're all mad about it. I hope that this puts Megawatt on the radar of Marvel fans, and I hope that there can be an expansion for him because even though there's so little to go off of, he's a fascinating character, and I think what I was able to add to him, I would love to see that character continue to grow through the eyes of other actors as well.
the Sinister Six in the comics, it's that group that Spidey takes on.
Yeah.
It's at
The,
early stages, with you, Tombstone, and Sandman. It's early. Hey, it could happen because there's the other guy that's setting things on fire. So there's four. So we need two more people. So yeah, are you down for a Sinister Six?
I would love to do a Sinister Six. I would love that.
well, you said, Nick's got the best Spider-Man, so I think we're believing with you today, brother. And
Well,
I can't wait to see how you guys just give him hell. That sounds awesome. Megawatt, come on, Nick, Megawatt.
let's go.
Megawatt.
Let's go.
Yeah, we'll definitely be in touch. And you said the Funko for Megawatt, but do you have a Funko collection yourself? Do you collect anything?
So I have a 2.5-year-old son, and
Awesome.
my son, I collect Funkos, and my son plays with them.
Awesome.
And so but it sucks because like I'll get attached to one. Like I like pro wrestling a lot, so I'll get attached to like a Funko that I got him, and he'll like lose it, and I'll be the one freaking out. Like, where is it? It's basically I have a secret Funko collection that I hide as my son's Funko collection.
That's cool. Nick, we got to put a Megawatt in that collection for our friend here.
Gotta do it.
I'm gonna make sure to get one and the comic because I know there's an issue of Megawatt out there. I'm gonna make sure to get that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Awesome.
Man. That'd be
Well,
awesome.
brother, thanks for your time. We hope to see you if you visit out here in LA. If not, we're gonna get you that Funko,
Yeah,
and we're excited to watch. And we're
Thank you for
actually gonna go
speaking with
watch.
us. Yeah, and thank you for speaking with us, Andrew.
of course, man. Anytime, man. If you guys ever want to do this again, you know how to find me. I'd love it. You guys are great. This was super fun.
Thank you, dude. It's super inspiring too. And we're gonna watch the first two episodes here in LA. I think Lamar's gonna be there, some of the other cast, so we're definitely gonna pick their brains too. It's super awesome. Thanks for getting us ready, man. We're ready.
Awesome, man. No problem. Thank you guys so much. It was awesome meeting you.